Hi, guys. Welcome to the Bridge to Tomorrow podcast, a show that helps you understand your strengths and how they appear in your life, whether it's your personal or professional. I'm your host, Bridget Ruiz, a certified Gallup strengths coach with over 20 years of experience in the field of developing talent, turned entrepreneur and investor. In today's episode, we explain why female investors are powerful in this world. Plus, we explore my guest's superpower as a motivational speaker and an investor. Welcome, Caytie Langford. Let's get started.
Hello, Bridget. I'm so excited to be with you.
Oh, I am so happy to have you here, Caytie. This is such an honor. We've had some interactions, and as a strengths coach, even in a very interesting way, you found me. And I didn't say I was a coach. I didn't say anything about who I was, but I had kind of sprinkled something in there. And what I love about you, Caytie, is that you picked up on that. You were like, are you a strengths coach? And oddly enough, right, it's like, there's something special about Caytie. Caytie knows. And when that interaction happened and you sought me out, and we just started talking, and I just knew there was this wonderful connection between us. I knew that what you bring to this world is powerful and that people need to hear about it. So that's why I am so excited to have you here today. I know that everybody who watches this will gain value. And that's, really the focus of my podcast is how is this valuable to everyone? So Caytie, I would love to hear a little bit about your background. I'm sure our guests and those watching want to understand a little bit about you, and let's get a bit.
Oh my gosh. So first of all, Bridget, I saw something in you, and it's funny, those of us who have been studying and using strength, we can spot each other. It's a language that you use. That's kind of what I love about it. It's a common language. And I was probably introduced to strength, oh gosh, maybe 13 years ago, 2009, 2010-ish. And when I say that it has become a part of my everyday life, how I do business, how I do life, I really mean it. So just quickly, backstory. So my first job out of college was as a fundraiser in nonprofit. I quickly climbed the ladder. By the time I was 30, I was already in leadership. By the time I was 32, I was in senior leadership. And by the time I was 34, I was in the C-suite. And so what's fascinating about that when it comes to strength is I was 24 years old leading teams. And my teams got bigger. And the work that I was doing, the amount of money I was raising and the donors I was working with were really high powered. And so I was making mistakes left, right, and center. I think there's a lot of us that do that when we become leaders for the first time. Some companies are really great at developing people, and some are like, hey, you're great at what you do. Here's a promotion. Good luck. And I found strength not only as a way for me to learn about myself, be able to put language around what I'm great at, what I'm not great at, but it was the way for me to be able to interact with my team. And so while it was a great career, I found myself at the age of 35 crying in my corner office every single day. I looked around and I would say, is this it? Is this what my dream job is supposed to be? Because I had really put a lot of things on hold to have my career. I was married, but I didn't have any children. I kept thinking I'm going to get to this place. And my goal was always by the time I was 40 to be a nonprofit CEO. I tend to be somebody who wants to lead, somebody who wants to get there quickly, which when you know my strengths, you're like, oh yes, I see that. But I pivoted and left all of that 8 years ago. I had no plan, no idea what I was going to go do. And it took 6 months to really relax and reflect. And I say relax, really, I was crying on my couch every day, so it wasn't super relaxing. But I went on to get certified as an executive coach. I did not get strength certified, but I did use strength in my coaching all the time.
Yeah.
You could ask any of the 300 women that I coach, they'd be like, oh yeah, Caytie Menace takes strengths finders. Because again, it allowed me to help them get where they wanted to go. And then if they had teams that they were leading, that I was helping them with leadership coaching, all of their teams took it. And I wrapped up my coaching in 2022. Have been doing speaking since 2016, but I pivoted into full-time real estate as well this year, real estate investing. And it's been fascinating because it aligns really well with my strengths and what kind of impact I want to make specifically with women. So that's just a very small snippet of where I got. But I do want people to know that in between all of the great like promotions and speaking on stage and TEDx and all that, there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of lack of confidence. There were gross, ugly, tearing, crying sessions with like snot running down my face. In no way would I look at my journey and be like, it was easy. It just was straight on up. That is the furthest thing from the truth.
I love that, because I think most people seem to think, well, that person is successful and that was just given to them, or that it wasn't difficult, when by far that is not the reality. The reality is you get what you put in, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to put it in and make that decision to execute in something that you want, that desire is there, and it brings joy and passion, all the things that make you feel like life is fulfilling, right? Because we get one shot. Life, one shot, right?
One.
You just keep doing what brings joy. And even though it's messy, right? We can get messy.
Oh.
Totally messy. It's okay, right? You keep at it. And I love your message about the teams, right? And utilizing strengths for the team unity, because like you share, it's the common language. It's the ability to say, hey, I see this in you. It's beautiful, and keep doing it, right?
Yeah.
And let's work together and understand each other. And maybe there's fewer misunderstandings. And from a human resources perspective, guess what? We all will have some sort of disagreements, or there is something that will come up in our personal life and also in the workplace, right? If we don't understand each other. So I just love that.
It's so true, Bridget. And I think that we, no matter if you're an entrepreneur or if you work for a company, when we get the responsibility of being a leader, too much is given, much is required. And I didn't tell you this before, but it just struck me. When I really saw strengths as something that was a must-have instead of a like-to-do, I was chief development officer of a nonprofit. I had a big team. This is when I was in my corner office. I just think that that's so funny. Like, it was so cheesy and cliche, corner office, right?
Yeah,
I had a woman, right?
Yep.
On my team that we were oil and water, complete oil and water, to the fact that, and this is kind of an embarrassing story, because again, but let's just rip off the band-aids and let's be vulnerable. Let me tell you all the things that I did as a mistake, right? We had an encounter. I don't have all the recollection, but I was turned into HR for yelling at this woman. And we got to the point where we were not allowed to be in the same room together by ourselves without an HR representative present. And this went on for like 4 or 5 months. And as leaders, we often say, well, what's wrong with this person? Why can't she just do her job? Why can't she just listen to me? And I was very wrapped up in strengths, and I was studying it for myself. And I thought, I need to this is my responsibility as the leader. So I had my team take strength. And what I learned from that information was that she processed information in a completely different way than I did. I am a talker. I love to get in a room and talk things out. She was a thinker. She led with strategic thinking. So when I would go into her office in the morning at 9 a.m. and say, hey, we're going to meet later today and we're going to brainstorm about X, Y, and Z, and we need to have a solution by the end of the day, because I'm an activator and I can do that. She would come to the meeting. She would have nothing to say. She was my most senior person on my team. I would be annoyed. I'd be like, why are you stepping up as the leader? You're supposed to be on our team. She's like, why are you making me figure this out in front of everyone? When I realized what her strength was, I was putting her on the spot in a way that she felt very uncomfortable. And so once I knew this, I then was able to adjust how I worked with her. Y'all, we went from not being able to be in the same room together without HR. When I resigned, when I was like, I can't do this anymore, we were hugging and crying together because we had transformed from really like almost enemy-like to partners in her work, because I understood what she needed. And as the leader, that's what I gave her. And to me, anytime that I doubt whether strengths can work, I go back to that story and I go back to that experience. And I know without a doubt that if you understand how to use this information, it can be the most transformative, powerful thing you can do in your business.
I just love this because there is always the individual that sometimes you're just like, there's something not here. Like, I don't understand. And the power of understanding what makes somebody tick, right? Like what comes to them naturally, right? And I've, we always have that arch nemesis, right? Like that person that, and I've used this word with somebody I've worked with, like, this is my arch nemesis. But really take the time to get to know, why do you feel this way about this person? How can you work together and be powerful together?
Right.
And I love that you understand this concept. One of the things that I think is really helpful for the audience to know are your strengths. So I understand your number one is communication.
Yeah.
2 is woo. For those who don't know, that's an acronym for winning others over, which both those 2 are influencing themes. And so for those who may not understand or know, there are domains, 4 of them, and influencing, they're color coordinated, and influencing is kind of, there's this power. And I will tell you, when I met Caytie, I knew it. Like, not even in person. We were on the phone.
Yeah, we were.
The very first time. And I was like, Caytie has got to be high influencing, because I know the energy that comes from somebody who is high influence. And so I was like, so excited. I remember because I'm driving into you, and Caytie and I are talking, and I'm like, she's high influence. Like, I just feel it. And I'm high executing. So executors get stuff done. I was just like, oh my gosh, we have got this like magic spark. And I love that interaction, and I could feel it. I knew it. And that's what just motivates and kind of invigorates me. But also she's activator, which, oh my gosh, again, another influencing domain. Definitely just go out there and get it done. Maximizer, and I want to say positivity, right?
Yes.
Is that the top 5?
So my top 4 are all influencing, and then positivity is relationship.
Yeah. And I just love it. I think knowing what you bring, how you interact with others, and then have that common language. How is this showing up in your life today? Because your life now has changed, and we all go through our journey of our careers and our life. Tell us a little bit about what's going on right now, and how do you see these themes, strength themes, kind of playing out today? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm really focused on 2 things. One is being a full-time real estate investor. And I'll kind of jump into a little bit about that. And then the second is being a motivational speaker. But at the end of the day, let me tell you that those are job titles, those are career titles. At the end of the day, my life purpose on this planet is to inspire, motivate, and impact the lives of women. I believe that we as women, we have big, bold things to do in this lifetime, whether it is within our families, our communities, or the world. I think there's a lot of problems in the world because we've let men rule us for so long. And I also think that we as women, we got a lot to give. I'm not just talking about like the servant leadership, like give, like be a caregiver. I'm talking about there are things that we are meant to create and develop. There are conversations we are meant to lead and be involved in. There's stuff that needs to happen that without us will not happen. And so it goes back to, I'm very much in the influencing. It's funny, when I first saw Woo, like 28, 29, and I was like, oh, and I don't know about your audience, but I've talked to people who realize what their strengths are and they get grossed out because sometimes it's so close to us that we think we don't want it to happen. And so winning others over was one of those things for me. I always thought, oh my gosh, I really do care about what people think of me. And I hated that because I had friends who were like, I don't really care what people think of me. And I thought, really? Because I do. And then I took StrengthsFinders and I realized, woo. And in the beginning, I didn't like it. I didn't want to tell people about it. And now it is my freaking superpower because I know that I can connect very quickly with people. And in my jobs, that's my goal. So as a full-time real estate investor, my role is raising private money. I typically do that with women. So I want to help women grow their wealth. One of the rules of life, babe, he who has, the golden riches gets seats that they might not always get. They have access to leadership. They become leaders. They have access to power. Do I always like that? No. Am I going to continue to work to change that? Absolutely. But if it's a rule of life and I have the ability to help women grow their wealth so that they can really make that impact, then I'm going to do it. And so I see all of my strengths in the fact that I need to quickly be able to tell a story about our project, tell a story about them, help them understand what it is they want to do with their life, with their legacy, with their money. And then the flip side of that is the motivational speaking. I talk a lot about confidence, right? When I tell women, you have big, bold things to do in this life, there's a lot of women that are like, no, I don't. I don't feel confident to go do that. And so, when I told you my story, I'm ugly crying. The reason I speak about confidence is because I had my own crisis of confidence. I've been in the depths of the low, I can't do this. Who am I to say? Am I worthy? I'm not worthy. Why the hell would you think you're worthy enough for this? So for me, how I make money is those things, real estate and motivational speaking. But at the end of the day, it's all about my purpose in life. And I know that I was gifted these talents and these strengths, and I worked really hard for them to become my strength because it's the impact that I'm supposed to make in this world.
I love that. Because I think so many and women in particular are just kind of this like meek and quiet and not confident in what we bring. And
yeah,
my goodness, when we think about leaders, we know in the business world, female leaders are they have so much impact, and yet there are fewer of them in the rooms, right? And we just have this I think there's so many women who feel kind of like, oh no, I'm just going to keep it inside instead of sharing it with the world and letting others see it, right? And, understanding who we are, understanding how we work with other people and how to help other people feel successful, right? If you feel like somebody cares about your growth and your development, wow, how many times, I know in my career, I have run into people who, they'll leave an organization or they'll move on in their life and they come back and they tell me, you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you so much for what you exposed me to, right? Indirectly. Sometimes I'm not even their direct manager.
Right. Yeah.
Indirectly, I gave them a platform. I gave them an opportunity to step up and use the skills that they want and they need. And then they're able to move on with their life, their career to next levels. And that is so empowering for me to feel like, wow, I've helped others. And that makes, that enriching life that we all want when we're giving it to others, right? You're letting others step into their best self and present themselves and grow. And that growth mindset is huge. So I love hearing your sharing and your thoughts on, women in particular, because absolutely. And I've worked in male-dominated industries, the automotive industry, the only female in the room, right? Sometimes, many times. And then on the occasions, even in commercial aircraft leasing, again, male-dominated industry. And you have to have a voice. You have to be strong enough to make sure you're heard and make sure that you're sharing the best version of yourself and growing others. So I love hearing this. Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the things, Bridget, that strength is so powerful at. Sometimes those things are so close to us that we don't know how to articulate it. We don't have the words, right? And you and I talked about this, and I know you coach people on this. And what I love about this assessment, because I also am DISC certified, okay? I've taken every assessment. I was like, I'm gonna go get DISC certified. I mean, DISC is fine. If you use it, great. I don't even use it anymore. What I love though is that you can take strength finders. You can use the insight guide. You can highlight, circle, underline those things in that you're like, yep, that's me. And then you can go into your workplace. You can go into any time that you're in a group and you can say to them, hey, Bridget, I'm so excited to be a part of the team. I just want to share with you that I am really talented and good at X, Y, Z. Where I bring value to the team is through doing this. And I don't care what your strength is. I don't care if you have responsibility, if you have achiever, if you have input, if you have belief, activator, right? It doesn't matter what it is. You can say, the way I approach solutions to problems, the way that I interact with people, here is what you should know about me.
Mm-hmm.
And that is powerful.
Yep.
That can change the dynamic of the relationship you have with someone. And as a woman, being able to own, like if you said to me, Caytie, let's do a real estate project together. Let's joint venture on a project. And really what I need you to do is all the due diligence, and I'm going to send you the spreadsheet, and I'm going to need you to put together the budget for the renovation that we're going to do. I'd be like, what? Bridget, no. If you said to me, well, what's your strength? I would say, you know what? I'm really great at talking to people and helping them see their future. And I can go out and raise $250,000 for the project. Let's find someone else who's really strategic and think through those numbers.
Yep.
You're going to get the best version of me when I'm doing what I'm great at instead of pigeonholing me in something that I could figure out, but I'm going to hate. I'm probably not going to be great at, probably not even going to be good at. So again, if we can just, this, like it's genius to me, almost like it's, I've worked with companies and I'm like, it's $20. It's $20 per person. Like, you don't need to take the one that has 10. You don't need the one that's 34. You want to spend that money, go ahead. But really, we just need to know your top 5, and then we need to teach people how it shows up in them, and then they need to start owning it. And when they do, it will transform the way we as teams work. If you can't tell, I've totally drank the strength Kool-Aid.
Well, we were at the Kool-Aid stand together because I love it. It's so powerful because you can go so much further together.
Yeah.
Alone. So do it together, right? And it's powerful when you see teams. And I love, for those who are not familiar, that, you know, when you look at a team and you have a grid of where is everybody, right? And then you can say, oh my gosh, we're a group that executes together, right? Like, we just get it done. Or the team that really needs to foster those relationships, right? Like, those things show up as a group. You can look at each other and go, oh my gosh, okay, this is what it's saying about us. And just be able to, you know, improve any business, right? Whether it's a entrepreneurial type of environment, a corporate environment, or even in your household. Oh, I love it. You've got yep.
I love the grid. This was a small group that I was in. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's fascinating because, right, each color, anyway, this is speaking, not visual. So yeah, yeah, it's a great visual, and it's true. And yeah, I just think it's so powerful. It's so powerful, and it's funny because when I was in fundraising, I thought that I was really great at relationship building. And when you look at what I'm great at, I can build relationships. I do build relationships. But what I'm really great at is getting everyone moving in the same direction. I'm really great at creating ideas and getting individuals and groups going there. So,
and that, for the audience, that's the high influencing domain. Yeah. That ability to help people and, you know, progress, and doing that with that kind of energy that, like I said, you can feel it. You can feel somebody who is a high influencer because that's just the energy that comes from that ability, right? And it's a natural talent. It will come easily, naturally, right?
Yeah.
Versus if it's something, as you were talking about before, like, I'm not that numbers person who's going to sit down with the spreadsheet and create the budget and work through all of that. That just doesn't give you that energy, that, you know, excitement. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, I can't remember, what's the one where everyone is treated the same?
Oh, yes. That is, gosh, which one is that one? That is, I'm looking over them.
It's like the exact opposite of individualization. Anyways, it doesn't matter. That's like the furthest thing.
Oh, that's consistency.
Consistency. Yeah. Nope, don't have it. Not on there.
Yep.
And that's the other thing that I love about strengths is we would think then, oh, well, if she doesn't have it, but then that is her weakness. And that's not my weakness. My weakness is that I can use my woo and communication to manipulate people. It's unfortunate. I've done it before. When people when I'm not wooing people in the way that I want, I can really quickly slip into that unhealthy behavior of like, well, now I'm going to do everything that I can to make them like me. Now I'm going to use my words to, right?
Yeah.
And so
blind spot, right?
The blind spot.
And how has that shown up? Could you give us an example?
I mean, well, an activator for sure. Times when I'm working on it with a team, especially if I feel like I'm the leader of the team, I don't get people's input. I don't really care what they have to say. I'm like, no, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. You're not on the bus. You're not on the train. I don't care. So I go so fast sometimes that it turns people off. You know, my positivity sometimes, I can seem very Pollyanna-ish. I can, you know, I like to reframe things like, oh, it's not really that bad, it's really great. But sometimes it's in that super negative way. And really where I see it is in communication. I know that my words can lift people up. I can inspire and motivate and impact them. But I also know that I have the ability to put together words in a way that will cut someone down to size like that. I know that I can, and sometimes it's when I'm in a place of stress. Oftentimes that's where I see it, right?
Yep.
When I get into my stressors, then I start to use my strengths from a place of evil, if you will, not from a place of goodness. And I'll have to watch myself and say, oh, I'm in a moment of stress. What I'm saying is not actually what I want to articulate. It's not actually where I want to go. So I need to pull back. But when I was younger and when I really didn't have an understanding of who I was, especially when things weren't going fast enough for me, I just would bulldoze people with my words. I would just run them over. I remember one time I was in a volunteer organization and we were trying to build consensus around this one idea. And my influencing wasn't working the way that I wanted to. And so I just became a bulldog. And the chair of the committee had to stop us and say, whoa, 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 whoa. Mm-hmm. And luckily she did it in a way that it wasn't directly calling me out, but it was directly calling me out. Like, hey, everybody go back to the corner. Right. And I realized, and I think back to those moments, to that experience, I'm like, oh, that's really when I was using my talent in a way that was ego-driven, that was about me, that wasn't about the collective good, that wasn't about achieving our collective goal. It was just about me getting my way. And I hadn't thought about that experience in a while. Anyway,
that's what's powerful, right? Is the opportunities later to reflect and see these in their glory, and then sometimes in the darkness of going, this isn't serving me very well here. But being aware of that and then understanding, okay, and I almost think of when you're young, you don't know these things, you don't know.
Yeah.
As you get older, that's why I think, being older and in our journeys longer, when you get to a stage and you go, oh my gosh, like I am such a better person than I was when I was a young person. Like
1000%.
I think back, I'm a mother, and I think how different of a person I am now than who I was before. Like life was live, breathe, work all the time. And it was a really difficult place of life, right? You don't feel fulfilled if you're constantly in that place. And now I've, of course, replaced it with a whole lot of other happy things in my life. And of course, children is one of them, but like my health and understanding my body and paying attention to my body with the foods that I eat, the exercise and the movement, all the things that bring just, confidence and fulfillment in life. And yeah, I just think that, understanding who you are, and even when you're young, how powerful that can be. So if anybody is listening who is young and thinking like, well, what good would this do me today? No, it will help you. The younger you are, the better, right? You actually...
Yes. Exactly. 1000%. I think that this tool, when you're in your 20s, is fascinating. Some people don't get it till their 40s or 50. They do know themselves. But I can't tell you how many people will then, and they're like, oh, yesterday, so my husband and I partnered together in this real estate investing journey, and he leads a team. And so one of the things that when we got people to join our team was we found, you want to partner with us for a variety of reasons. One is he's an entrepreneur. He's built, scaled, sold a business. So less than 0.5% of businesses ever get sold. So if you want to learn how to do that, come work with us. And then I bring to the table that I can coach you through these things. So I was on a call yesterday with a guy that's on our team, 40 years old, and we went through his top 5 strengths. And he knew them. He understood them. He's like, oh yeah, this shows up all the time in conversations with my wife or conversations in my W-2 or what have you. But at the age of 40, he was given the gift that now he has this language. Yeah. And he said to me, I can't imagine what I would have done differently with this information years ago. And I remember on our first conversation, one of the things that's crazy about real estate investing is people get into this world, and Bridget and I, you and I are in a couple of mentorships and mastermind groups together. And there's so much. People are like, oh, you just, acquire property. No, there's 10,000 different ways you could attack your real estate investing business. And so people are constantly trying to figure out, well, what does that look like for me? Where do I come? And you and I were like, dude, people just knew their strengths. They wouldn't have to go through 97 trial runs of figuring out where they might fit, right? Like, I know with my influencing that I can raise money. I know that, that I'm not going to be really good and empathetic about, being a short-term rental hostess and turning over. No. Why? Because I don't like consistency. I'm not a fan of those kinds of things. I'll have it, it's just fascinating to me that how much this is a gift for people. I really can't say that enough. And I think that the other gift that was given for me is that I can just stand on it. I can stand on it and say, you know what? I'm not analytical. That's not what my gift is. I don't approach problem solving like that. But this is where I can fit in. This is the value I can bring to the team.
Yeah. Yesterday I had a conversation and coaching discussion, and it was a really wonderful moment because they said, hey, you're in a position to see who I am and kind of play that matchmaker, right?
Yes.
Because this person, was explaining that they get in their heads, right? They're more the strategic thinker.
Yeah.
And initially when I saw the results, I was like, they need an influencer in their life, right? Like the yin to the yang, here's how you're going to help each other, right? And then build teams and, grow bigger to scale and so forth. But, that's a really interesting position that I see myself in, is that I do get this vantage point, right? To say ooh, these people work well together, right? Because you just see who they are, right? So I definitely find this to be, a privilege. And like I said, it was a privilege, Caytie, when I first interacted with you. It literally was one of those things where, like I said earlier ago, that Caytie was reading between the lines, and she was like, you're a strengths coach, aren't you? And I was like, yes, I am. And it was, a great interactions from day one, and social media being so powerful. How could the audience get a hold of you, right? What are the best ways to get in touch with you, whether they're looking to, have double-digit returns, right? Backed by real estate, all the things that you are, right? So let us know, how could anybody get in touch with you and work with you?
Absolutely. So the two most common ways, best ways that I actually follow through on, again, I'm not responsibility or achiever, so you got to get me, is LinkedIn and on Instagram. And those are the two places. Why not the two places that the woman that I work with lives? Mm-hmm. She's on Instagram for fun and she's on LinkedIn for business. Yes. And so those are the places that I tend to be. I check those messages. If you send me a message through Facebook, I think I'll have 36 of them right now. It can be overwhelming for me, but I check LinkedIn and Instagram for sure.
I love it. Yeah. I definitely find my social media language is through LinkedIn because that's just where, from a business perspective,
Right.
that where those, communications are really held at, is utilizing LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So
I want to tell your audience, because I know that you live in a space that is a male-dominated industry, but Bridget, you also are really good at bringing together women as well. Bridget and I just were at a conference this past weekend, and it was amazing. Bridget, like, with all the badass, powerful, ambitious women, I think that's who you attract, which of course I love, which is one of the reasons I was attracted to you, which is one of the reasons why I think you were attracted to me, right? And so I want to also just help stand and know that if there's something inside of you as you're listening to this that you said, I want more. There's something in me that's more. I think sometimes we get caught up in this idea that I need to be grateful for what I have now, and so therefore I can't want more. And I think instead, if we change that conversation and we say, I am absolutely grateful for what I have, and I want more, we're not mutually exclusive. And one of the ways that I can identify more, one of the ways that I can get more in my life, in my career, is if I really understand myself, if I have a language to put to what I'm really great at, right? We can look at all the Gallup numbers, right? Where we know when you're using your strength, 80% of the time you have lower rates of stress, higher rates of satisfaction. Like, this is why this isn't just an assessment to use in your workplace. This is something that can truly transform your life. And if you believe that you are meant for more, knowing the gifts that you have and how you want them to show up in the world is a huge step in that. And so I applaud you for saying, we're going to have this conversation. I applaud you for saying, I'm going to take my expertise that I've had inside my corporate career, and I'm going to actually bring it to people who may or may not know it. And we're going to dig in deeper. And that what makes people really unique and really cool is what lies within this information. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing that to the forefront in this real estate investing world, because not a lot of people are talking about it. And then you and I start talking about it. And then you kind of are going to blow up, I think, in this world, because you can help facilitate so many conversations.
Thank you, Caytie. Yeah, and I agree. That I feel like that's my calling, right? And when you have a calling, boy, getting up in the morning is so wonderful, right? It's just like, okay, great, let's do what I need to get done, because I am going to make an impact to this world. And I do it for my own family and my children, right? And my husband, to the people that I interact with on the daily, right? It's like, let's see each other, right? For the wonderful powers that you have, and know what they are, and then be able to play to them, right? It's nothing better in this world to the given talents that you have. Show it for everybody to see. So, I appreciate having you here. Great job just explaining, what you bring to the world, because this, space of for women in particular, right, and investing and knowing that life can be more, right? It's not just accepting what little warm, cozy life we might have. We're going to have to be able to push ourselves to be at a level where you want to be. And, I just appreciate having you on today. It's been fabulous having a conversation. And for those that are new to my channel, because it is a newer channel, I'm very excited. Definitely looking for the share, the like, and the subscribe. So please leave a comment, because this has been a phenomenal experience for me. I hope it has been for you as well. Caytie, I thank you so very much for your time. And to those watching, please continue along in the journey while we learn more about strengths and how it plays out in your life, and maybe those that you love and see in this world as well, maybe even lead them as well. So Thank you again, Caytie, and everybody else. I appreciate you.